this franchise is Will and Martin's chemistry and their relationship. So I'm sure the first time they put them on camera together, it was just absolute fireworks. And when you catch that lightning in a bottle, you know it's special. So would they have imagined that 30 years later they're still doing it? Who knows? But you can be damn sure they knew what they had when they first saw it. And that's what's carried this franchise through all these years, and that's why people keep on coming back to watch it. It's an incredible experience working with a guy who's so committed, generous, and the way that he cares about every minute detail and invites collaboration. That's the thing too. He's not just giving ideas for his character as an actor. He's spreading that joy and love and knowledge throughout the whole film. So he's got his fingerprints all over this one in the most positive way. It's an honor to watch him work and learn from him. He's so funny and such a joy and so talented and the nicest guy I've ever worked with. He's absolute sweetheart and so talented. He is just gonna shine in this movie. He's got a fantastic role and he's grabbed it by the collar and not let go. He's brought it every single day. A and B, Dilly and Billy, my boys. I have so much love and respect for them. The vibe that they create, which then trickles down and permeates in every facet of this production, is incredible, man. The energy that they have, the kindness of their hearts, the talent, it's like none other. You know, I'd be a pretzel holder in any of their movies. Just working with them it's so fun.
Being back with Martin and Will is just the absolute best. I love them so much. Really, like, just light up a room, the two of them. Martin, when I came for the table read, he saw me and he goes, "Vanessa!" I was just like, oh, my heart. He's just the sweetest and so complimentary, always. And we've got Will, who is just like such a light, such a force. It's really nice when you get back together with a cast and crew, because you kind of build this really tight-knit family bond where you go through an intense couple weeks together and then you don't see each other. You can kind of keep up, but it's just not the same. So it just feels like another go at our little summer camp here at Bad Boys. I mean, anytime the Bad Boys say Bad Boys for life, I feel like it's so iconic. And the song, there's literally a commercial now where a guy's singing Bad Boys, and I'm like, this show will live on forever. They're the ultimate hype men, truly. Like, they're obviously there every step of the way because they're the directors, but they make it really feel like they're your buds and they're just rooting you on. They want everyone to do their best and they want to make the best movie possible. This is a movie that I feel like you can rely on time and time again to have a good laugh, to get some serious action, and like a whole lot of heart. I think that's the thing that really sets it apart, is like, first and foremost, it's a brotherhood story. And you get to see them do some crazy things, get into some wild situations, but their brotherhood always prevails.
Because these two guys really do love each other. And the camera catches it. You know, that's the thing, the authenticity, you can't fake it. My favorite of the franchise, my favorite was the third one, the last one. Because I thought Martin was incredible and it was very emotional, very, you know, it was beautiful. It was, and just working on these movies to see how Martin and Will have grown into men. And one of my fondest memories of working on this movie was the last night in Miami when we were all there, and all of Will's families and you know, Martin's sister and brothers and my wife and my kids. We all, you know, everybody's kids were there. You know, it's like we all went through this. You know, everybody goes off into their own careers, and then you come back to work. And it's like, it's almost like it's only a couple of days since you saw each other last. It's nice. It's real nice. It's about the hero's journey and then the impossibility of the hero succeeding, and in a lot of cases with Will and Martin, you have these heroes, and Martin is the reluctant hero. I don't want a hero, and Will is we're bad boys. Let's go. So it's the yin and yang and the pull. The one thing that Michael, as a young filmmaker, and what Adil and Bilall have as a young filmmaker, was Jerry Bruckheimer's trust and guidance.
It's a blessing. I mean, I'm blessed to be working under them, and they've been my mentors since I was about 15 years old. So I'm just happy that they chose me, and I get to show them all the things that I can do. It's always hard to keep a straight face. Like, I always gotta be on extra acting, serious mode, because they're very funny, but they're very stern too. They're serious about their craft, so that's what I've learned. They're great guys. Dylan and Bilall, they push me to the max. Like, they make sure whatever that Marine role I play, they pushing that. They want me to bring everything out of that. So you might see me as a little quiet kid in part 2, and in part 3 you may see me as a Marine, but you're really gonna see me as a Marine in this one. Michael Bay found me out this basketball camp. I went for audition, and I went for the audition. They said, if you want to be in Bad Boys 2, call the number. Bad Boys 1 was my favorite movie, of course, so I called the number, and I got the part just like that. Well, not just like that, but it was 2 weeks after that, and then they made me do the audition again with my wife that's in the movie, which was my girlfriend at the time. I was coming to take her on a date. I did the audition with her. Then 2 weeks later, they called me back for the part.
Dorn obviously is like a tech whiz and a genius in his own right. But I think overall, what I've always loved about Dorn is his heart. You know, at the end of the day, Dorn is the one guy that you know will never betray you. And he will always show up, and he'd put his life on the line for any of the Ammo team and or Mike and Marcus. So in Bad Boys 4, now you get to see Mike and Marcus back in full force, back in action. And the main storyline here is trying to figure out who ordered the hit on Captain Howard. Captain Howard, in many ways, was a father figure to them. And it's implied that he also had a big influence on Ammo. So it's more than just trying to figure out who killed another cop, which is bad enough. This is about who basically killed a member of our family. And they're going to go to the ends of the earth to figure out who did that. Throughout the entire movie, it's a lot of fun. It's hysterical at times. It'll make you want to cry at times. You know, it's really got all the makings of a great film, and very, very excited for the world to see it. This film especially, I've gotten so much closer with both of them. I think because we all realized we were a part of something successful. I mean, look, the second one came out something like 20 years ago or something, so it was a shot in the dark, that the third one. And we had a feeling it would do well, but you don't really know. For it to be the most successful one of the franchise is unbelievable, but it does feel different on this film. And Will and I talked, we text each other back and forth even when I'm not filming. You know, when he did King Richard, I texted him and said, what an amazing job. So we have built a rapport over, you know, the years in between the filming. So when you come back, you feel like you're coming back to a family. But there's our family and then there's them. And watching them together is another world, because they came up together. You know, at one point, I would imagine Martin was Will's idol in a lot of ways, right? And this was their first big franchise. And after all these years, they just seem like the same people you see on screen. You know, a lot of the times they say, don't meet your heroes, meet Will and Martin. I can't tell you the amount of times we're all just like keeling over laughing during a take. I mean, that happens. And then of course we get yelled at, all of us get yelled at, and we have to be professional again. But so much of the, like, luckily the writing is so good that you could just lean on that, and I think it would be funny. But so much of what I love to do is improv, and so much of what they love to do is improv. So sometimes the scenes just take this whole new shape that you weren't expecting, but you end up at the end of where you thought you'd end, and that's some of the most fun acting I do, is when I really just get to riff. I love doing that. The best, absolutely the best. You know, Adil and Bilall, I think, shared, you know, we were all the newbies. The only consistent ones were Will, Martin, Jerry, Chad, you know, and Doug, and then obviously Sony, but like, we were all new. So I think that we all had something to prove on the last one, and in success, we did that. So getting to reunite was huge, and I love those guys so much. We have such a great relationship, and I want to do so much more with them. They're so talented, and they're just great human beings.
They're so different. Will is kind of the life of the party kind of guy, so you know when he enters a room because you can hear his laugh, and he's always like messing around with you and laughing and making jokes with the crew, and Martin is more like laid back. He doesn't want to like attention on him, which is really interesting to me. And but he's kind, and I love Martin because once we were shooting a scene, my first scene in this one, and between takes he goes like, "You're really incredible. I just want you to know." And I'm like, "Oh, Martin, that's great. Thank you so much. It means the world to me." Martin will have this banter off screen too, but also they know what works, and they've been doing it so many times. And I'm telling you, they're just funny. You give them like different takes, and they do something different again and again and again, and every time it's just funny. You know, they're just talented. Some people are just talented that way. They have that. Vanessa and Alexander, I love them. Like, I really love them. We have a relationship outside the movie. I think they're incredible. Great actors. They teach me a lot, even though they're much younger. Vanessa's been working her whole life, and she's an incredible soul, and she's an incredible actress. So I learned a lot from them. I think Vanessa especially, she taught me just how to enjoy the process. The last time when we were shooting Bad Boys for Life, I was so stressed, and she was just enjoying. And she taught me that. And Alexander is just so fun. He's funny, and he's always joking around, but then he can have this like really serious conversation with you. He's so loving and kind. Yeah, they're amazing. I'm really lucky. I'm a really lucky Mexican girl. I have to say I was a fan of the first two Bad Boys movies, and I'm not really in action. Like, there are so many, like, it's not my genre, but I feel that Bad Boys has everything that I want, right? It's like you have your action, but then it's funny, and I love comedy. And the banter between them is so compelling, it's so good. I think the secret is just them, their chemistry. I think because there's so many action movies that you're like, that's great, I don't want to see it. Like, but this is special because they have something special, their chemistry. I mean, Will is amazing and Martin by themselves, but then when you put them together, it's like an explosion. Adil and Bilall have the best energy. They're always in a good mood. They're always joking around. They're really loving. They're fun. They're just fun to be around. And I feel that that's really important because, as we all know, the directors are the ones that put like the atmosphere, and everyone's like in a good mood because of that, you know, no matter what's happened or how stressful the situation is, or someone is like, no, we have to, like, whatever, we're like late or whatever, they're always like you know, enjoy. I feel that they are really grateful also. They always said that Bad Boys was one of their dream movie to shoot.
I don't know if they thought that 30 years later they'd be making the fourth installment of it, but I feel like with Will and Martin, you knew you had a shot at doing a couple of them, just because they're great together, but you know, people have a lot of love for those guys. I find him to be extremely affable, committed, a professional of the highest caliber, and he cares. Martin, I don't get to work with that much, but my run-ins with him, I don't think there's not a funnier guy out there than Martin Lawrence. And he's so kind of humble when the cameras are off, but when we're rolling, he finds another gear, and I don't know how those dudes keep their faces straight working with him. I did a lot of stunt training. I was here on my first chunk of time here. I trained with the stunt team for a few weeks. And then Will came in, and Will and I trained a little bit. And then, so when we shot it, we had the choreography down, which gave us room to play with it a little bit more on the day. And from what I've seen, it is a awesome sequence. I had watched Adil and Bilal's movie Black, and then subsequently got turned on to The Last Bad Boys, and found them to be highly skilled filmmakers. Wanted to work with them, and you know, obviously want to work with Will and Martin, but I think these filmmakers are supremely competent filmmakers, and I think this is going to be a great movie. I'm excited for them to see the movie. It requires a lot of effort to put together something like this, and I'm pretty proud of what I've seen and the work that I've done in it. And it's cool to be able to work with Will and Martin. Most of my stuff is with Will, and he's been really great to work with.
It's a perfect combination and dose of humor and character, and the fact that you put those police officers in really cool situations, and the right balance between that action. That is still, even though it's a heightened reality, there's some grounded aspect to it, and that under tension, you see the love of Mike and Marcus for each other and that brotherhood. So I think that vibe is something that makes the audience love these characters and want to be part of them in those big action set pieces.
Yeah, I think also that, you know, that balance that Mike and Marcus has, we don't see that in other movies. You can have a super dramatic scene, but then Marcus can make a joke in it. And that's something that you cannot do in any other movies, just because it's Mike and Marcus have that chemistry. It's like, for me, the best duo on the big screen, and very unique. The thing is that Captain Howard gets framed, and Mike and Marcus are like, they don't believe it, and they try to investigate and prove that it's not that he didn't do any corruption. They want to destroy Captain Howard's legacy, and that's how the story evolves. And in the meanwhile, the bad boys get framed too, and they become the bad guys. So now they're on the run, the fugitives, and it's interesting to see how the bad boys have to operate in this underground where they are criminals and become fugitives themselves. It's just magical to see them both together. It's unbelievable, the chemistry they have. It's always surprising. We are behind the monitors directing the scene, and they come up with this genius golden humor and, you know, all this fun stuff. It's just you sit back, relax, and see them perform. Jerry Bruckheimer is a genius and an icon, and we're blessed to work with him. And even though, like, even when we were making Bad Boys for Live and we were thinking about another movie, he was like, let's make this movie good to the depth. So that's his approach to every movie. Like, let's go all the way 1000%.
Well, I hope that the audience is gonna have a lot of fun. If there's a big difference maybe with the previous movie, where the previous movie was, even though it was an action comedy, there was a lot of drama in it, and that was like an interesting aspect to explore in that movie. But this is even more a comedic movie than the previous one, and we hope that the audience is really gonna have a really fun ride where it's constantly high energy, a lot of fun, and that they come out of the theater really like having laughed very much and being excited. So that's what we can hope, a really fun ride.
Yeah, I think even like it's gonna be a ride with all the emotions. So you're gonna cry, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna, it's gonna go all the way to a climax, and at the end, it's just gonna touch you in your heart, and you're just gonna say, "I want to see it again."
The reason that this has endured the 30 years is because of our two actors. They're both brilliant. Martin is an amazing comedian, and Will is not only a comedian, but a wonderful actor. And the combination of the two has been magical for audiences. The reason they have this wonderful chemistry on screen is they really like each other. They're individuals that really enjoy being together, enjoy working together, get a kick out of one another whenever they're doing a scene. They have so much fun doing it. There's such a joy to making these movies. Believe me, we wouldn't be back. Both actors are sought after by so many other companies to want to make movies with them. They wouldn't be here with us if they didn't have a good time. Mike and Marcus have become part of the fabric of the world and the fabric of theater-going audiences because they love their antics. They're part of them. They feel that they're part of that family, and they become Mike and Marcus when they're sitting in that theater. They go through that drama with them, and that's what makes it so exciting. Adil and Bilall are premier filmmakers. They really are. They have a mastery of the camera, of drama, of comedy. It's rare when you find directors who can do really big action and big set pieces, and also have the ability to understand comedy and direct comedy along with the drama that this movie needs. Because of the size and the way we make these movies, they're big spectacles. You want to see them with an audience. You want to laugh with an audience. It's infectious. When you hear your neighbor sitting next to you laughing, it kind of motivates you to laugh. And also, it's the fun you have with these characters on that big screen. You want to have them on that big screen. They're fun to watch. You want them bigger than life.
I was a junior executive at the time at Columbia Pictures, and I remember pretty well that I don't think anyone expected the movie to have quite the success that it did initially. And I don't think even Jerry, who had already created a few franchises in his day, would have necessarily predicted the success of the first movie and the resulting franchise. But at the same time, I think the way Jerry approaches filmmaking is, he's always trying to do something original and is always striving for excellence. And I think it's not an accident that so many of the original films that he's produced have gone on to be very, critically successful and commercially successful franchises. It's sort of the way he approaches his work. And those of us who were involved early on in the first Bad Boys movie and subsequent Bad Boys movies have been really the beneficiary of that kind of talent and work ethic. I think the first reason is a testament to the performers. I mean, it's just about Will and Martin and their undeniable chemistry on film. And audiences love them individually and even more so together, it seems. So that's the first reason. I think the second reason is there's the experiences or the conflicts that the characters are going through in each of the movies are really, we try to make them universal. So you make sure that, people can see a little bit of themselves in these characters, understand, what a guy who's been married for 30 years and now has grandchildren and, is quite in touch with his own mortality, like how he might be experiencing his life when he's partnered with, a maverick, sort of loose cannon, heroic, ladies' man, adrenaline junkie. And, we've been able to build that out and I think create more layers and just make it real, but at the same time, heighten it completely so that, we're putting these guys in, both intense dramatic situations or heightened situations for the sake of comedy. And so I think people both relate to the characters. They aspire in some respects to be like those characters. But more than anything, I think when, people sit in the theater, they're just entertained and with characters that they sort of know and love and want to spend more time with. We know that Bad Boys is really about the love story between Mike and Marcus. It's a fraternal relationship that spans 3 decades. And certainly, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence have that kind of bond that transcends or crosses the barrier of the screen. But for these 2 fictional characters, Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett, you really feel that there's a lot of depth to that relationship, a lot of truth to that relationship. And, they're the center of the wheel, so to speak, but the spokes extend out to their work colleagues, their family, and their friends. And, I think the audiences do respond to that sort of authenticity and, various facets that make these guys really interesting characters. They did a number of things. Number one, those 2 guys, along with the director of photography that they had worked with before, who they brought into Bad Boys for Life and have brought back to Bad Boys 4, Robrecht Havert, they just really have a modern filmmaking sensibility, in terms of how they shoot, how they move the camera, how they're capturing the storytelling. It feels quite modern, so that's really important. As I said earlier, they're huge fans of the franchise, and they bring to it, a love and appreciation of the essential ingredients that made it a hit in the first place, that allowed Bad Boys to connect with audiences. So they're acutely aware and are always pushing the writing and the performers to bring those ingredients to the surface, to make sure that we're serving what was great about the franchise to begin with. So they sort of are keeping the DNA of the franchise very much intact. Of course, Jerry Bruckheimer is very involved, and he's a common thread that runs through all 4 movies as much as Will and Martin. So collectively, and I think this is really what filmmaking is when you're making franchise movies over a long period of time, it's a collective effort to preserve and protect what's special about a property and to build upon it, to experience something, especially comedy and action together in a movie theater where like the sound quality, the picture quality is first rate, and laughing together is different than laughing alone on your couch. That's number one. But I think number two, when you've come to know and love characters, and you really feel like they're a part of the fabric of your life, these characters have, existed for almost 30 years. I think that familiarity and the excitement of being reunited with those old friends who have entertained you, and, provided, excitement in your life, it's just nice to go back to the movie theater and hang out with them again. I think that the nostalgia for movies from our past, whether it's from our teenage years or from, times when we were younger adults, is, the promise of that is draws people back to the movie theater to have that experience again.